Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and today I'm doing a discussion over Doomlings, the delightful card game for the end of the world. Now, this game, first of all, was sent to me as a review copy, so take whatever I say with a grain of salt. However, before all of that, I remember seeing this booth at Gen Con multiple times because they have like the brightest booth at the convention. Like, they really do a good job of promoting their game whenever it comes to something as small as this. And I had always just kind of bypassed it because from looking at the way the game is like structured and designed, I was like, this really isn't a game for me. But they reached out and was like, hey, would you mind doing a copy or a review like you do? And I'm like, sure. like you do. And I was like, yeah, you know what, why not? So after having played it, I wanted to make sure that I could play it with multiple people because it seems like it was designed to have multiple people, not just like a two-player game or something like that. And I will say that this game is not for me in any way, but that's not to say that it's not for other people. This one comes off as if it's like supposed to be this wacky kind of, high crass humor kind of game, and I don't know why. Maybe it's just like the neon box and stuff, the way like it was promoted again at Gen Con. I would be like, oh, that feels like it's going to be like an Exploding Kittens or a Cards Against Humanity style game, and it's actually really not. But what it is one of the most random games I have played in a very long time, which for a lot of groups will work. I think this game can be a lot of fun in a party-esque setting. For people who aren't really that into games, this comes with like a pamphlet of a rule book. It's extremely simple to learn and to play. And if you just like whatever comes at you is what it is, then this is going to be the game for you and your group, because pretty much you just have a deck of trait cards. Like, I guess the themes, you're just trying to survive till the end of the world. So you have a deck, and this isn't all of them, I just took out some, and they're divided into different categories, basically different colors that have victory points on them as well as effects on them. And you have a card called your gene pool that basically determines how many cards you can have at the end of your turn. And you're just drawn from this deck. Like, that is literally it. So you might have, 5 cards. So you'll start the game with 5 cards. And one of them is like, hey, boredom. This card's value is equal to the number of cards in your hand that have effects on them. Okay. And all you do on your turn is you take one card from your hand and you play it. And you pop off its effects if it has one. Some might not have any. Hey, here's flight. If I play this, swap hands with an opponent. And it is kind of cutthroat game. There are cards that steal traits from other players, remove traits, affect everyone at the table. It's completely chaotic. And on top of the traits that you're just randomly drawing, some that are exponential in victory points if you have a bunch of them, like one of them specifically is called kidneys, that are just victory points if for each kidney you have. Some of them are literally just 1 point with no effects on it. Like, hey, fangs, and they all have little cute flavor text on them. Fangs, the sharpest tool in the head. Or vampirism, funny enough, I just drew this. And they have dominant traits, which can't be affected by other players in any way, but you can only have 2 of them in your trait pool, which is basically where you're playing your cards. Iridescent scales, you get to draw 3 cards. Bad, no cuts, no glory. Opponents discard 2 cards from their hand at random. Teeth, give you +1 to your gene pool. So you have a deck of these cards, and you play one from your hand, then you draw up to your hand limit, or if you drew up past your gene pool, your hand limit, you discard down. And that's the game. That's Doomlings. But there is a way that the game is kind of structured. So you have these age cards, and basically you will have 3 piles of these when you're setting up the game, and there are, again, more ages. You'll have 3 of them, and then within each 3 piles, you will have a catastrophe. These are the way the game end. Once the 3rd catastrophe is drawn, the game ends. So you'll just shuffle, again, the catastrophes, and put one in with one of the piles of 3. Shuffle those 3 piles individually and stack them. So the catastrophes are relatively spaced apart. If you draw a catastrophe at the beginning, then you're going to have 3 more cards plus another potential 3 before another catastrophe comes out. And the ages are also completely random. They could be good for everyone, they could be bad for everyone. Some of them are like natural harmony. You may not play a trait of the same color as the last trait played. Let's see. Arid lands. Players cannot play blue traits. They're kind of like round events that affect everyone. Age of Dracula. I don't know why I'm getting called the Fangs or like stuff like that. Discard 1 random card from your hand. If Vampirism is in your trait pile, you can steal 1 random card from an opponent's hand. And we just talked about how there was that dominant trait, Vampirism. So that could just randomly benefit one person if they happen to have played that. Reforestation. Traits in your trait pile cannot be swapped, stolen, or discarded. Lunar Retreat. Players cannot play purple traits. So there's just a bunch of these ages cards that, and I'm not against random events that come out. I mean, in a particular setting, one of the influence type, that could just be something random that could be funny, or like yay, or haha, or boo, are the 3 typical responses that you're going to get. But then there's these catastrophe cards. And like I mentioned, this game is 1,000,000% random. So, like, there's Mass Extinction. Each one of these lowers your gene pool, so it like shrinks the amount of cards you can have. But again, there's ways to increase that. Mass Extinction. Discard 1 card from your hand for every colorless trait in your trait pile. So if you have a bunch of the white traits that are colorless, you might not have a hand. And each of these catastrophes also have a World's End effect. And that World's End effect only applies whenever it's the 3rd catastrophe that's drawn. And they're pretty detrimental. Like, Mass Extinction, discard 1 green trait from your trait pile. Well, that one's not too bad. Solar Flare, discard half your hand rounded up. Pulse Event, discard 1 card from your hand for every purple trait in your trait pile. Deus Ex Machina, Stabilize, Crisis Averted. This one actually doesn't mess with your gene pool. Glacial Meltdown, -1 gene pool, discard 2 cards from your hand at random. But I remember specifically, I'd have to specifically look for it. But the last game that I just played, my friend had a bunch of green traits, and the retrovirus came out, and it was the last one, and the World's End was -1 for every green trait in your trait pile. So just through sheer randomness, obviously you just shuffle the catastrophes, put 1 in each pile, you shuffle the ages, put 3 in each pile, shuffle those, put them together. That happened to be the last one, and he had a bunch of greens, so it's like, well, I guess you're not winning. But here's the thing. This game is, depending on number of players, I feel like kind of long for what it actually is. And some people might like that. Some people might say, be involved the entire time because I know families who are just hyper competitive, so they're just going to be attacking one another with cards, trying to see who has the most victory points, messing with that person. This, again, would work for a lot of people. This is not for me in any way. I had a decent time with it just because I kind of knew what I was getting into. Whenever I was playing it, like after having learned it and played it, I was like, okay, it's one of these kinds of games. Now, I will say, I would rather play this than Cards Against Humanity, Exploding Kittens, those 3 Dragon Annie, those kinds of games, because I just don't find those games fun in any way. Here, at least there was some of strategy with the cards. Now you had no control over what was in your hand, but at least you had like cards in your hand that you could look at and be like, oh, okay, like, hey, I can play Third Eye to take a peek at the next stage, and then I, take a look at the next stage, and it's like, oh, okay, like that's what's going to be the effect of the next stage. And then this lets me play another trait. So now I'll play Impatience, and I'll steal 2 random cards from an opponent's hand, and it's going to give me 1 point. So, like, it has some type of, I guess, strategy, but then the ages could completely dick you over. The cards you're drawing, if you're trying to go for a bunch of kidneys and you're not getting any, then that's just the way it is, just because you're just shuffling the trait deck. Now, as far as I'm aware also, because I feel like I've seen a bunch of stuff, is I believe they have a ton of expansions for this game. I thought, it was right here. Well, they have this mystery Overlush mystery expansion, contains an assortment of 56 cards and 4 holo foils. Now, my copy came with 1 holo foil in it, and it was immediately annoying. Like, the sizing of the card was slightly smaller, and as a foil, it tends to bow. I actually found. I mean, it looks nice, as foils do. It'd be hard to mess up a foil, but I actually didn't really care for any of those. Let's see. Doomlings is a labor of love. Turn this card over to learn more about our mystery expansion. Oh, the Overlush mystery expansion. Okay, I was like, what do you mean it's called Overlush? So I believe there's a bunch more expansions for this. You know what? I'll pull up the old app, pull out the old phone, and go onto Sweet BGG and see if anything pulls up. Doomlings. Okay, there's the... Yes. Okay, so there's Overlush, the Deluxe Bundle, Gold Box, Black Box, Meaning of Life, Dinolings, Mythlings, Upgrade Pack, Techlings, Multicolor, Imaginary Ends. Well, looks like Imaginary. Yeah, nope. That was last year. And yes. So there are quite a few expansions. Now, I don't know what those expansions bring. They could add some semblance of strategy, but if I had to guess, I bet you just shuffle them into the deck, and it gives you more traits, more ages, more catastrophes. But it could have separate decks and other kind of wacky stuff. I don't know. That's something you'd have to look into if you end up liking the game. But they definitely go all out with its neon foil, high color, like, design style, which is also kind of funny because that's what I was expecting from the trait cards, but literally the trait cards are just like these circles with some little, like, selective memory. Me? Wrong? That doesn't sound right. And it's just this cute little circle putting something in his head. So that's selective memory. There's saliva. It's just that same circular green guy licking his face. Retractable claws. It's a guy with retractable claws. So, with territorial, it's actually not a circle. It's a circular dog. The art's adorable for what it is, but again, this really isn't that type of game. You're kind of just set collecting for different traits and applying their effects. Again, I have no interest in actually playing this really ever, because unless someone else owned it and we had like 6 people, which is the max, if they were like, hey, does anyone want to play a 6-player game of Doomlings, and I was already 4 beers in, it's like, sure, why the hell not? It's 2 rules whenever you're playing. Other than that, I mean, these kinds of games are always difficult to rate, just because it's like, clearly it's not for me. But as a game design, I guess 6.5 is what I'd give it out of 10. Like, you're not playing this game seriously. You shouldn't play this game seriously. If you're playing it seriously, you're going to be upset the entire time. Like, man, wish I could draw those high value cards. Oh, wow, going to target me again. And those are the type of people that you just kick out of your house, or you just quit inviting if they're going to take a game like Doomlings super seriously. But I I think like that type of those families, those holiday get-togethers, you know, it's like, oh, let's play a game, and you have, you know, your parent who just doesn't have the time to ever learn any of your other games. You can convince them to play Doomlings, and they'll have a good time, I think. So that's it, everyone. That's my thoughts on Doomlings. Let me know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.